Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Estelle Dingley, and I work for the Department for Business and Trade. And my role is to help companies take their products or services abroad and start exporting or growing export. I come myself from the private sector, and hopefully today we'll be able to give you lots of information and tips on what the basics to start exporting should look like. So I've prepared a few slides, and there's a lot of information in those, but it's mainly some web links that hopefully we can share the slides with you all afterwards, so you will be able to just access them. So don't worry too much about the links. I'm sure you will get them somehow. So if I start playing with, sorry, I'm normally using Teams. It's the usual of trying to make a different tool work as quickly and efficiently as possible. I'm also
Yes, we can see you.
yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, I can't see the screen anymore, so yes, hopefully. I'm also quite conscious about the fact that I've got a French accent, so if I speak too fast or if I'm not being clear enough, please somebody shout and just ask me. And if you've got questions at the same time that you think I don't understand what this is, feel free to ask me as well. So when it comes to exporting, the secret behind being successful is to have a clear plan and to know exactly what we're going to be doing. So tonight, I will be talking about what is your plan going to be, how you're going to be winning all those customers, what the strategy behind it, what key decisions you need to make, how are you going to market your offer, and then how you're going to convert your sales. So the first point is, do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy? Do you know what you want to do? So you can be using various tools. It could be that you've got a product and you think, I'm going to take my product to search markets. You need to understand whether there is a need for your product. Are you able to sell in that country? How much is that going to sell for? What channels do your clients shop on? Are they going to have any duties or taxes to export into that market? Do you need an export license maybe? Where do you find your customers? Are they going to be buying from maybe a shop, or could it be online? It's really making sure you do as much research as you can, because you will also need to make sure you're legally okay and allowed to sell within that market. For example, I'll give you an example. Since we've left Brexit, you can't sell plants like citrus plants to the EU without having a proper license. So that could be, something which looks very simple, but actually is very restricted. Then you need to make your key decisions, and you need to put together a proposition. So to help yourself, you need to access the tools that are available to you. And you could be looking at the Export Academy, which is one of our tools. And the Export Academy will give you access to many workshops and many webinars and country information, duties, taxation, all the key points you need to find out about as part of your research process. And this Export Academy is accessible by anyone. You don't have to be trading. You could be a startup company and start registering with us to start learning. We would also suggest that you go on to Open to Export, which is one of the links in the documents here. And you will find there a lot of recordings again, but you will find a template of a plan. So understand where is your market, where are your clients, what problems, solutions are you going to be bringing to their problems. Is it because they can't find the products locally, or is it because the quality is not good enough, or is it that you have other needs and or restrictions? So you're bringing a solution, and this is how you're going to just present this as part of what we call a value proposition, your offer. And here I've put a few links because they will give you a lot of very practical advice. There's in terms of SEO, search engine optimization. If you have a website, there's this blog available here which explains to you how to best engage at the time of being on part of a Google search. And you've got lots of videos from this gentleman called Simon Sinek, and his thoughts are around why do you do what you do, what is the solution you're bringing, and it just makes a lot of sense when you start reading them. So how are you going to win? Well, again, the secret behind that is to do as much research and preparation as you can ahead of doing any trading. And here's a list of C's for consideration. So look at which countries you want to trade with, which ones are going to be the easiest possibly to deal with, or the ones where there is more of a need, where the market is not completely saturated by your competition. Then do some consumer research, and that you can do through marketplaces. You could be going on the local marketplace and see what is selling out there. What are the people saying? What are the consumer asking for on social media, on Facebook Marketplace, on Amazon, if Amazon is present? All the research at hand will be there online. You can be using all the Google tools as well. You've got consumer, Google tools, trends, with Google. There is a lot available there that you'll be able to access for your part of your research. Go and have a look at the competition. Who else is selling there, and selling what, and at what price, and how are they doing it, and what are the consumers saying about those other sellers available on the marketplace or the platforms available there. Then look at categories. What kind of products are you going to be wanting to sell? What is going to be really of interest to your customers? And look at where all the general demand is coming from. It's always, you have to be consumer centric, consumer driven, because they will be the ones who will be defining what is driving the market. In terms of costs, think about the final cost to your consumer. How are you going to get all the goods out there to them? Are there going to be extra charges to enter the market? Any extra logistic fees as well? Or it could be compliance. Do you need any certificates to go and sell to them? For example, if I have a client looking at the USA, a lot of the time you will need to have a product insurance for liability. So it's something that is almost compulsory out there. So there will be an extra cost to it. So this has to be built in for, just to give you some practical example. Your goods, the way goods are classified as well. So that will be all on the government websites, but some goods might be restricted in some markets. So you need to just go and double check. The goods will, what might be called, I don't know, a watch here, will be called number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when it comes to customs. So you need to understand exactly how you classify that item to make sure that it doesn't get stuck through customs, but also that it doesn't going to attract more taxation and duties because you've put it in the wrong classification. It could be that my watch has got a metal strap when the classification you've taken is the one for a leather strap. So you have to be very precise as to how you just classify the goods. In terms of compliance, each market will have different compliance definitions and requirements. So now the UK is no longer part of the European Union, so you will have precedently you will have the CE mark. Now we will have a different UKCA mark. So it's just making sure that everything is compliant with the market you're going to place the goods in. It might be that you need to translate into the local language, or the packaging might have specific logos to be showing on the box to make sure that you are legally okay to be selling on that market. Customs, so that's a big one, because as I just said earlier, if your goods are not classified correctly, then you could end up seeing your goods being stuck in the market. I was talking to a client earlier today who are trying to move goods from the UK to somewhere in Europe, and for that they need to have a specific number which is going to ease the movement of goods. So there is a registration here in the UK which is called EORE number, which is a GB number, and then in the EU you need a different one, a EU one, which would be in the first country the goods are going to enter. Unfortunately, they just they've mixed up the two country letters, and now everything is stuck because the number is incorrect. So it's a very simple mistake, but it could be a very expensive one, because it will cost money to just hold the goods in customs, and then to having to find a broker to clear. And if you're using a courier as well, there could be extra charges for just holding the goods in storage. So you need to be very wary of that when you start doing your research. So who are you going to be selling to? That's another very important question. You need to find out who is your client. What do they look like? Is it a young individual, or is it a more mature person? Are you talking to male, or are you female? You would be, depending on what you're selling, you need to have what we would call a persona, when you just start having a clear picture of what that customer looks like. So then when you start talking to them, you know what kind of language, which could be generation related, but also culturally related. Some of the way you will be speaking to me, being a French citizen, would be completely different if I were British. The vocabulary used, the tone of voice, the words, the name of the brand, a lot of things could be completely different. To give you an example, there was this brand who was it was for a car, and the name was going to be Nova, and they were trying to sell it in South America, and the car would not sell whatsoever. And eventually they realized that Nova stood for won't go in Spanish, hence why the car was not going to be selling, because it wouldn't be going and taking anyone anywhere. So this is part of some key research you can be doing as well. And then there will be a whole cultural approach, a calendar approach as well. Let's say you're selling consumer goods, and if you're thinking, let's say Mother's Day and Father's Day here in the UK will be different to France, or if you're thinking about Christmas here, or Spain, or Greece or Ukraine, the dates will be completely different as well, depending on which calendar you're looking at. So it's really important to just know those, and there's lots of tools as well you can access. On the first slide, there was a link to two places, Channel X and Tamebay, Channel X and Channel Advisor, and they've got some calendars available there for e-commerce. Then you need to think about what, if anything, doesn't go quite according to plan, and how you're going to support your customers. So thinking about are you going to be selling through a marketplace, or will you be able to be speaking and communicating with the customer as they need to come back and talk to you? And another key point as well will be how do you get paid? So there might be a currency exchange. How is that going to affect your price tag? How is that going to affect you if you get paid in currency and then you make the exchange rate afterwards? So it's understanding those, but also how do consumers prefer to pay. So you're going to take a payment through a PayPal account, or is it going to be a direct payment? So there's a lot as well to think about here. And then how are you going to market your offer? So how are you going to start shouting about the fact you've got this new great product that everybody hopefully will be wanting? And here I've given you a few tools and a bit of a strategy about how you're going to be doing it. So I realize that, at the startup level, that could look like a lot of work, but you can start really small and you can just start talking locally, maybe to a certain part of a certain country. You could be looking, let's say again, using France. I could be targeting just the consumer in Paris, and I would be using some of the free tools available here, where you can just start listening to who is going to be online at the same time talking about a specific product. And then you know that this is when it's the best time to start posting your product. You know also that there's a time difference. You don't want to start posting when it's daytime in the UK, but everybody else might be asleep in another part of the world. So it's just thinking about who's where, when, and start finding out what do they like, what your competitors do if you have one, what else is being bought at the same time, who are the influencers, and what do they do themselves to engage with the audience there. So it's just really thinking about, how do you approach those target clients. And then finally, you want to convert your sales. So you start getting some traction onto your website, and you're going to start looking at everything that you do and how you're going to adjust and to make sure that you're being as efficient as possible. It could be around whatever your offering is, when your messages are going out, or the price point as well. You could be too low. I in a previous role, I had an item that would not sell whatsoever, and it was simply because the perception was the product was too cheap and therefore not of good quality. So we adjusted the price, and then it started selling really well. So this is what you keep on doing all the time to just make sure that you can make that journey as successful as possible. And here we are.